just don't know what to do.
Do they think it'd be pointed at the computer? I don't know. Or at the bat?
I don't know. Oh,
Shoot, because it looks on.
I know, it's definitely. Listen, I just didn't press any of those buttons. I didn't press this.
She just went, she
Switch
like
it.
went on a 10-minute.
It's green. I don't know.
At least the pointer is
Yeah, the
working.
it's not very strong.
Maybe she'll know.
Yeah.
Not then. I mean, I'd be happy to.
So, I mean,
substitute her,
you
but
can
can
just
easily just move
Go
the-
over the.
Okay.
So there we go. Just go back. Hunt it down.
It's starting to get that like sleepy time
I know.
in the day. Well, the good news is if no one else shows up, you'll get a bunch of drum mix to yourself. That's exciting.
Yeah.
What's that? Lock the door.
One other, we can share.
Oh yeah, there you go. Half and half. So you get wellness points for doing this, is that right? Okay. So how many points do you get for this versus how many you need in total? 2.5? 0.5? Eight? Oh, half a point. You didn't get a full point for
Ouch.
something. Ah. Wow, all right.
That's funny.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, you get the same credit?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. But you didn't, which one? Yeah, I don't know. Can't eat the yummies online, can they?
Not sure if
Why
I'm
am
just
I?
using this room or it's green. So I guess, I mean, I can just click computer.
Is the
Okay. There you go.
now we're good.
Hey, thank you.
No, it's not just video. It's me.
Okay, do you think we're good to go?
Yeah, I think we might get a few more people rolling in.
We can give them a few more minutes if you want, or we can get
It's not
started.
5 minutes past.
What is it, 5 minutes past?
I'm teasing.
I think it is 5 minutes past.
I have 2:31.
Oh, okay.
2:32.
That's what I was trying to say more. They'll be 5 minutes. Wow.
We can give people a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Guess you can start the challenge part of it at least.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, guys. You're the lucky few, because
for your brokerage firm, and I am a wellness consultant with them, and then also a registered dietitian is my trade. So the nutrition stuff is kind of my baby, and I love doing that. This is my kind of favorite thing to do. This is Meinking, and we're lucky to have her. She's a grad student at the University of Utah in nutrition right now, and she's just with us for a month, so she's going to be doing a presentation today. But I think we'll just start off with a trail mix demo. So you guys will, in just a second, get the chance to come up here and make your own trail mix. So this is one of our favorite, I think, go-to healthy snack options because for a few different reasons. It's shelf stable, so you could keep it in your bag or at your desk, whatever. It's not going to go bad. You don't have to refrigerate it. And you can make it pretty healthy. So one of the reasons that it's better to do homemade trail mix is that you can control the ingredients that way. So you're not going to put things in there that you don't like. You know, if you ever buy those little packets of trail mix and you're always like taking one of the things out that you don't like, you just add the things you like, and then you also can control the ingredients better. So one of my hang-ups with store-bought trail mix is that it almost always has added sugar in there. But you already get sugar from M&Ms that are in there and from the dried fruit that's in there. And so adding sugar is just unnecessary. So if you make it at home, then you can just have a little bit of a more nutritious snack. Does that make sense? So, like, we actually saw this coming in here, so I'll just kind of pick on this. But
With goodies.
yeah, first of all, how many servings are in this? 32. So if you think about that, like, whoa, okay, that's a lot of servings. And if you ever eat this like open bag, maybe you're not going to finish the bag, but you're probably eating more than 1 or 2 servings. And then the other thing is too, when you look at the ingredients, it's just a laundry list. But you know, the chocolate pokies, whatever that is, not only has the chocolate with sugar in it, but then there's an additional sugar added. And then you go down a little bit, and there's a little bit more sugar and corn syrup and all this. It's just unnecessary, right? So making it at home, you can actually just remove all of the ingredients that make this a little less healthy. So anyway, just be cautious. We have a little, I don't know if we brought it in here or not, but if you ever see those individual size trail mix, do we have that? Cool. So you can like pick this up and eat it for a serving, right? How many servings are in this? 2.5. Which is weird, but all that to say, I think most people that would eat this, right? As a package. You're gonna eat the package. You're not gonna divide it into 2.5 servings and go like that. So these can be deceiving. And oftentimes we think trail mix, what a healthy snack, but it can add up. So just be aware, little education point there. And when you're making it, we've had Melissa get the snack sizes, because this is a great option, right? You're just going to pre-portion it and not get yourself into trouble by eating out of the large, Costco size bag. So when you're making trail mix, we have some handouts that you can get when you come up, but it's just a fun handout with mix and match options. So choose nuts and choose seeds and pick and choose, and there's some recipes on the bottom. If you like savory or more sweet, then you can just modify or just pick and choose from what flavor combinations you prefer. So grab one of those handouts. Here we just have walnuts. We have almonds here, walnuts, sunflower seeds. This is dried cranberries. I believe that's dried pineapple. And then dried apricots, dark chocolate, and Chex Nuts. So you guys can come up and make your own baggie if you'd like. Don't be shy.
Get up there. We promise why you guys pay.
Yeah, no, take it. Help yourself. You might even be able to make 2 bags. Yeah, of course.
Just 1 serving, don't take mine. Not 2.5.
You at least that goal. That's what I've been doing.
He wears that even if he's not called.
That's because I'm in habit to
Every
serve.
day and tired. Not as much as you can get. Oh, sorry.
You
I
want
mean, you
to
always
access
wear.
after today?
Yeah, that's the.
No, we're not gonna do that.
That's home, right?
Is it walnuts in there?
Yes.
You trying for white trash?
Yeah, I just found it.
Oh, really?
Even too many. I make
You can do
some-
more seeds.
Yeah. Cranberries, they have lots of sugar in them, don't they?
What is it?
Cranberries,
Here you go, here's a handout.
they put lots of sugar in them. Or did you
So
find some
wanna
without
look
it?
For unsweetened.
Where do you find them?
So you can sometimes find it in the bulk section of a grocery
So
store.
where did you get these?
These Melissa got, so I'm not sure where she got them,
Oh,
but she
okay.
found some that were reduced sweetness, 50% less sugar.
Okay.
But then sometimes you can get them in the package, it should say though unsweetened. Just wanna check the ingredient label, cause if it says cranberries, caramel sugar, like, you know, cranberries are already sweet as that. She needs that.
Actually pretty
You're sure, 100%?
She's done, Keith.
And then raisins are oftentimes not
Okay, if she talks.
sweetened additionally,
You do it.
so that can be a good dried fruit option. That's not the added sweetener. Dried apricots usually do not.
Stick these in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the microphones on.
I'm gonna she'll hand these out, I think after. Are you, you'll hand these out after, or did you wanna?
Yeah, I can do it after this.
Okay.
Be able to reach the top shelf and then
That's true.
We're headed.
No idea.
I'm kidding.
Just like, you know, you sneak out.
Yeah, might get it there.
What about the pineapple? This has got something white on it. Is that just?
It's probably sweetened. I don't know, I didn't have to look these. They were in the bulk
It'll be
section.
like up and then back. I bet it'll be portioned in a jar.
Yeah. Like sometimes the apple rings are unsweetened. You just have to read it, cause it's kind of shocking.
I just need like one of those like
How much
wrapper
is
things.
you know, sometimes I feel bad because my
Yeah.
brother was 40, dresses in a suit every day, looks really nice. I'm like, sometimes I think, it'd be nice to have a job that requires it. And then most mornings I wake up and say, no, but this is easy. Yeah.
So I think the same thing.
I'm honestly lying, I could just throw all the balls to Jim. Take it all. Yeah, but she was just making fun of
Go.
us. And
Oh, you got it.
You guys can split
There's
it
no
into
way
2.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember. I guess I would pound this in seconds.
400?
I know. They're actually updating the food
Per,
labels.
what was it,
So,
160 per.
have you guys ever noticed that sometimes there'll be like 2.5 servings of something,
320.
either in a drink
It's
or in
80,
a package, and no one eats that way, so there's new requirements. I think it's maybe next summer, the food labels, when they have that, they'll also have to show what a full package is as well. That way you can actually see what you're probably eating. It's more reflective of what people are intaking and not what
You
they're
don't have to do
determining.
the math.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, you don't usually look at that. You just drink the whole bottle of soda and you don't realize it's 1.5 servings or whatever it is. That adds up.
Keep watching this.
Oh, yeah. He says that, he's a German dog.
Is he recording it?
At least said forks and.
Yes, he is monitoring the camera.
Oh, that's so good.
I have a hard time of faith in things that I can't read.
Short arms.
You feel like a T-Rex.
I do, I'm always like, and you gotta like,
Your full face is under there.
yeah.
Totally sanitary. Here's a handout.
I love the squeeze cards.
You have to duck them.
They make my life hard sometimes.
She bumps her head on it.
They're not made.
That's one way to control what you actually can eat at a buffet. I have the option. Yeah.
No, you can do anything with it.
For Aaron, for Keith, this is gonna be like popcorn for him while he's watching
not taking it down to him, he don't get it until after we're done up here.
Are you making it back for someone?
Yeah, my
Very
boss,
kind.
he's watching by video.
Oh. Oh, he doesn't want to come up here?
Oh, he's making sure the camera feed continues. to
Oh,
run.
okay. Here, did you want to hand out?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Cool. Michelle can take it.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah, so as Becca mentioned, now we're going to talk a little bit about healthy eating while in a hurry. And although this can seem difficult at times, hopefully by the end of this you'll see it is possible and maybe not as challenging as you previously thought. So for everyone, life is busy, right? Hectic. I don't think anyone in the room can say like, oh, I have so much free time, I'm so bored. Between making it to meetings or phone calls, if you have kids, doing them to work, balancing that with working out, maybe friends and family. It can be challenging to wear all the different hats and get through our day. And unfortunately, this can take a toll on our eating and how we eat, our eating patterns. And ideally, we would all like to eat a very nutritious, healthy diet throughout the day, but being busy and whatnot, we tend to turn to foods such as these that are easy and convenient. We can just stop, they're easy grab-and-go items, and maybe we just don't make the time for those healthy food choices. But hopefully, by the end of this, you guys will get some tips and tricks, some recipe ideas, and just some overall meal construction of what it looks like to really make a good meal or a good snack, and hopefully making that eating while on the go or busy a little bit easier for you. So first, starting off with meal construction. A lot of you are maybe familiar with My Plate, which is put out by the USDA. It's just a little picture of the plate with the different compartments. But I also like to think about it in terms of our macronutrients. So our macronutrients are going to be the things that give us energy, or calories if you think about it. So our three major macronutrients are going to be carbohydrates, protein, and then fat. And we can really think about breaking these down into a plate as well. So each of them having important components in our diet for different reasons. So starting with the non-starchy vegetables or fruit. So we want those to be about half of our plate. And these are really important for many reasons, things like vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and fiber. So again, just kind of concentrating on that being half of our plate. And then we can see protein there being a quarter of our plate. Protein important for many things as well, muscle maintenance, synthesis of muscles. It also helps keep us full, so incorporating it into different meals and snacks is a good idea. And then lastly, this last sliver of the plate here is kind of split between healthy fats and complex carbohydrates. And fats are great to incorporate for keeping you full as well. They help with slowing down the absorption process and digestion process. They're also really important in your diet for things like thermal regulation, cushioning in the body, helping keep internal organs protected, and also absorbing different minerals and whatnot, and vitamins. And then lastly, complex carbohydrates. So these, when you think of complex carbohydrates, we're thinking of our whole grains versus our simple sugars. And as Beck was mentioning, all the added sugars and things like that, avoiding those, because complex carbohydrates are really going to help with keeping your blood sugar stable throughout the day, as opposed to the quick sugars that are going to spike it up and then leave you hungry and not a ton of energy a short while later. So we're going to go into food sources of each of these in subsequent slides, but just keeping in mind, again, kind of the distribution of these macronutrients and being sure to incorporate into each one of your meals or snacks. So here's just kind of a schematic of the three of them, and again, showing food sources, which we will get into, but carbohydrates, for the most part, first thing that comes to mind for most people is fruits, vegetables, your grain products. Protein, we think about meats, poultry, eggs, fish. And these also can kind of overlay into the fat category as well, depending upon the type. But then specific fat sources would be oils, butter, avocado. And then on the bottom here, you can see foods that really encompass all three macronutrients and are a great source of all three. So we have our beans, nuts, seeds, soy products such as like tofu, soy milk, edamame, and then dairy products as well. So that being your milk, yogurt, and cheese. So looking specifically just at the carbohydrates group, so first thinking about half the plate being those non-starchy vegetables and then fruits. So when we're thinking about fruits and vegetables, we really want to try and incorporate a variety into our diet and not just pinpoint the same one, eating the same fruits every day or the same vegetables at each and every meal, just because they all contain different nutrients that are really beneficial to the body. So thinking about variety, and especially about eating the rainbow and thinking about the different colors. Typically, you're going to want to aim for about 2 to 3 servings per meal, or 1 to 2 per snack. And then when we're looking at our complex carbohydrate section there, a little bit smaller on the plate, this is when you're going to be choosing your grain products. And as I mentioned, we want to have those complex carbohydrates. So we're thinking about whole grains like oatmeal, whole wheat pasta, your whole grain breads, brown rice, quinoa, barley. And for the most part, we're going to limit these to about a half a cup, or for like breads, it's usually a slice or maybe 2. And then when looking at the nutrient profile, aiming for about 3 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein. So then a little bit more on fruits and vegetables. So as I mentioned, you really want to try and get a variety into your diet and eat the rainbow. So it's just a little activity here. We're going to go through and list off some fruits and vegetables you can think from each category of the color of the rainbow. So starting with white and yellow, you guys have any ideas for those? Onion, cauliflower, squash. Good. Yes, that's most ones we have up here. So squash, mushrooms, cauliflower. How about the red and purple? Plums. Yeah. So yeah, we have tomato, beets, which I love beets, eggplants. You can get the rainbow carrots, basically any color you want. Different berries, so strawberries, blueberries. How about orange? Oranges, yes. Anything else? Carrots. Sweet potato, I like that one. Yes, I love buttercup squash. So yeah, and then bell peppers, carrots, and a lot of different citrus fruits. And then lastly, green. Kale, spinach, lettuce. We have lots of choices for green, right? So yeah, spinach, kale, broccoli, green beans, Brussels sprouts. So lots of choices, and just always trying to keep in mind mixing it up and eating the rainbow throughout the day and throughout your meals. Next is protein. So that was a quarter of our plate, if we remember. So we really have 2 main sources of protein. We have both animal and plant sources. So with animal sources, usually what comes to mind is meat products, right? So we have our beef, our turkey, our chicken. We also have fish, eggs, and dairy is another great source. So your milk, yogurt, and cheese. And when choosing protein sources, we really want to focus on lean protein. So a rule of thumb I kind of like to use is the less legs, the better. So if you think about fish, they don't have any legs, right? It's a really great lean source of protein. Kind of going down the line, then we have chicken and turkey, both with 2 eggs. Those are 2 legs, sorry. Those are other great sources. And then lastly, if we're thinking about like cattle or pigs, those have 4 legs. So the pork and the beef, maybe consider eating those in moderation just because they're not always as lean. So just something that it's really easy to think of, the less legs, the better. And then plant sources, we have beans, lentils, legumes, also the soy products that I mentioned earlier, so your edamame, tofu, soy milk, and then nuts like in your trail mix, nut butters, and seeds as well in there are great sources, plant sources of protein. All right, and then our last little section of the plate here was the fats. And we're going to talk about 3 different types of fats. We have saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fat. And starting with saturated fat, so when you think of saturated fat, this is usually solid at room temperature. So if you think of like a stick of butter, which has saturated fat at room temperature, it's in its stick form, right? This is the type of fat you're typically going to want to limit in your diet. They like to say about or less than 10% of your calories coming from saturated fat. And this is normally found in animal products and tropical oils. And then moving on to monounsaturated fat, this is the healthy fat that you want to increase in your diet. And these are found in things like avocado, olives, cooking with olive oil. And then lastly, the third one is polyunsaturated fat. And this can be broken down further into omega-6 and omega-3, which you may have heard of. Omega-6s, these are ones that as Americans we kind of already get a lot of. So we don't really need to focus on these, and we want to limit these more. These are found in vegetable and soybean oils, which is found in a lot of like packaged and processed foods, which is why we get so many of them, and something we don't really need to focus on. Whereas with omega-3s, this is our DHA, EPA, and ALA. And omega-3s is something that we want to work on increasing. This is really important for brain function, heart health, inflammation. And we can find these in products like fatty fish, so salmon and tuna. We can also find it in fish oil and different types of seeds, so like flax seeds or hemp.
You said limit the omega-6, and that's because it's in everything. Is it a good quality fat though that we need to eat?
So the thing with like omega-6, like yes, we still need it, but it's the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 that kind of it throws everything off. So that's why we really don't need to focus on it just because it's still a fine source type of thing. You don't need to like,
Is it still better than saturated unsaturated fat?
yeah, you still want to focus on your unsaturated fats always. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so then again, just kind of showing you the plate schematic again as we move forward here, just really thinking about incorporating all three of those macronutrients and in the appropriate distributions if possible. Okay, so now moving more specifically into eating healthy while we're on a hurry. So some staple foods, some things to always have on hand. Do you guys have any ideas for carbohydrates? What are some good things you can always have in your fridge or pantry ready to grab or make something with, I suppose?
Brown rice.
Brown rice, great. Anything else?
Lots of fruits.
Yeah, exactly. So always having those fresh fruits and vegetables in your fridge ready to go. And then as far as like whole grains, those are non-perishable. So it's easy to have a pantry full of brown rice or whole wheat pasta. Also getting your whole grain bread. How about protein? Protein sources to put on your grocery list? Peanut butter. Any other ones? As far as thinking on the last slide, less likely the better.
Nuts.
I'm sorry?
Just nuts.
Nuts.
Almonds.
Is a good source of protein. Okay, and then as far as just like chicken, canned tuna, having salmon, eggs are really easy, beans, whether it be dried or canned. And then lastly, fat sources. Yeah, those are nuts as well. That's okay. There's protein in those too. Yeah, olive oil is a great one, so having that around to either cook with or make like salad dressings with. So we have our seeds, natural nut butters, nuts, and olive oil. And then how about some grab and go items? So maybe something you don't have to necessarily make, but is always just kind of around in your cupboards. Any ideas for those? Starting with carbohydrate ideas. Yeah, if you can find some whole grain cereals. Any other ones? Okay, so fresh fruits and vegetables, they can be on the go if they're already cut up or rinsed up. You can always just grab them. They're easy to take with you. Dried fruit, like in your trail mix, is another great option. Popcorn, not talking like the Butter Lovers deluxe bags like that. You can actually just make popcorn on your own and then like season it up, or I've heard people put sauces on it, which I've never heard before, which is always a great idea too. It's just taking the kernels, putting them in like a brown bag, like a lunch bag, and putting them in the microwave for, usually it's like a minute or two, depending upon your microwave. But, so that's always a really great source of whole grain. And then lastly, whole grain rice flakes are another really easy thing to grab on the go. Some protein, eggs, so hard boiling a batch of eggs at the beginning of the week and keep them in your fridge is another great option. Greek yogurts, you do have to be careful with Greek yogurt because like trail mix, if you're buying like the fruit on the bottom kind or any type of flavored yogurt, usually there's quite a bit of added sugar in there. So we usually like to recommend going with the plain yogurt and then sweetening it yourself with whether that be dried fruit or nuts or different types of seasonings. Jerky is another good thing to have, dry roasted edamame and string cheese. And then for fat sources, again, sticking with your nuts, your nut butters, and your seeds are all great for on the go. Okay, so then thinking about our macronutrients and kind of encompassing the different macronutrients of protein, the carbohydrates, and fats into our snacks, we really want to pull from each of these categories, right, in order to mix and match. So here are just some ideas for on the go. So we have like a small apple or banana with 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, carrots and snap peas with some hummus maybe, some Greek yogurt, again, topping it with berries or nuts, string cheese, and a handful of cherries or grapes. And then 1 or 2 rice cakes and spread some almond butter on there, some hard-boiled eggs and maybe a piece of fruits, and then a stick of jerky, and again, another piece of fruits, or another great one is your trail mix, which you guys now have. And then just some general tips for eating healthy in a hurry. So meal plan and prep is kind of crucial. So you can't really make anything if you don't have those staple items on hand, right? So having a grocery list and knowing that you have the ingredients in your house to make the food is huge. Also, planning your meals out for the week, so that way once you get home from work, you know what you're going to make that night, or maybe it's already made, and you don't have to worry about, well, do I have that at home or not? Do I need to just stop at like a fast food place and grab dinner? If you have the ingredients at home, you know what you're making, it makes it a lot easier. Fruit and vegetable prep is another really important thing. So once you have the fruits and vegetables, they need to be cut up and washed. And I know personally, if I don't do it right away at the beginning of the week, they just kind of sit in there all week because I don't want to take time to cut them up later before dinner when I'm hungry. So just having those cut, washed, maybe pre-packaged in little Ziploc baggies I like to do, or just in containers ready to go. Utilizing the slow cooker. So I have people who like swear by and love their slow cooker because it's super easy. You just put all the ingredients in before work, put it on low, you come home and dinner is essentially made for you. We will be going over a recipe for this, and there are a few recipes on your handout that you'll be able to check out, and they are really easy and really good. I mean, you can make anything in a slow cooker we'll be going over chili. I saw like recipes for like lasagna and everything, so it's pretty cool. And then make extra for leftovers. So don't just make a single serving for that night. Make a double batch so that way you can have it later on in the week. You can either take it to work and have it for lunch, or just reheat it on a night that maybe you are more of a rush. And then lastly, having emergency stash. I think this is extremely important. So just always having a nice little snack either in your desk drawer or in your bag or your purse. So if you do get hungry, you know you have a healthy option, and it can at least tide you over until you can either make a healthy meal or, go home and make something that's decent. Okay, and then some swaps, just because swaps are always kind of fun to talk about and look at. So a lot of people, a bag of chips is always a nice little easy snack people have. Any ideas for what we could swap out a bag of chips for? That would be somewhat similar. Rice cakes is a great one. Yeah, popcorn is another really good one. I just picked some vegetables and hummus. You still have that crunchy taste. You also can kind of mix up the hummus. There's lots of different kinds of hummus flavor-wise. So Little Debbie's, I know my dad, like this is his breakfast every single morning. It's a Little Debbie and a Pepsi, which we're going to work on. But what are some other options besides an apple pie, Little Debbie? Exactly, right? Like, what an easy switch. An apple, and then maybe incorporate something else like a piece of jerky, like we mentioned, just to get some protein or some healthy fats along with it. Peanut butter, yes, that's a great one. And then we have our little to-go cups. So I've seen like Oreos or like Chips Ahoy or the Nutter Butter to take in the car. Anyone, any ideas here? Trail mix, great one. Any other ideas? Nuts. So yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You can buy the little single serving of nuts or just make your own trail mix like this. Great replacement. And then a few more. Candy bar, which is always a guilty pleasure. Any ideas for what you can have instead of a candy bar?
King size.
Go all out, right? Fruits? Anything else? Yeah, granola bars, that's it. I chose as well. When looking at granola bars, though, you do have to be careful because, to me, some of them are just glorified candy bars, essentially. So really checking out the ingredients label, seeing how much sugar is in it, checking out, like Becca was going over, reading the label, making sure there isn't a ton of added sugar, a good amount of protein. So just make sure you're choosing a quality bar. And then how about for pop or any sugar-sweetened beverage, really? Water, easy fix, right? Sometimes that can be a hard transition, so maybe thinking about carbonated waters, flavored waters, and just kind of swapping out some of those sugar-sweetened beverages instead. And then lastly, donuts, an easy go-to in the morning, or I feel like they show up quite a bit in a workplace. What could we swap out instead? read my mind. Yeah, so bagel with peanut butter, some banana. Personally, I like to like mash up the banana and peanut butter, put a little cocoa powder in there, spread it on. It's one of my favorites.
And how about Nutella?
Nutella,
Is
not.
it just as bad as chocolate?
There's quite a bit
frosting?
of sugar. I haven't looked at the label recently, but there's quite a bit of sugar in that. That's why I like to use cocoa powder instead. It still gives you kind of that chocolatey fix without all the added sugar. Okay, now we're going to look at specific recipes. So we're going to go over recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then a snack option. And really, I came up with 2 recipes for both a prep ahead, so something you can make in advance and then use later on in the week, and then also a give me 5 recipe. So essentially, you have 5 minutes. You need to make something. You have minimal ingredients and minimal equipment. What can you make? So we'll go over some of those. So for breakfast, prep ahead option is overnight oats, which I'm sure many of you have heard of if you have like Pinterest especially or been on the internet. They were a huge craze forever. But they are really easy and a really great recipe. So essentially all you have to do is take about a half a cup of oats, a cup of milk, whatever type of milk of choice you prefer. Then I like to throw in a scoop or 2 of yogurt for some extra protein. And then basically toppings are endless, depending upon what type of flavoring you want. You can throw nuts in there, you can throw nut butters if you want berries. And then you basically just put it in the fridge, usually at least 3 hours. That way the oats can kind of soak it up. But it can sit there for up to like 3 days usually is about tops. But usually you just make the night before and it's all ready for the next morning. Or a give me 5 recipe, so very little time, but you want to make something up quick, is a microwave egg sandwich, which is a really easy go-to. So basically all you need is 2 slices of like whole wheat toast or a whole wheat English muffin. Pop it in the toaster, and while that's toasting, you can just scramble up an egg really quick, throw it in the microwave for about a minute. It's usually cooked through then, and then throw on whatever toppings you want, whether that be cheese. I like to throw on some like deli turkey, avocado. If you don't want meats, I know some people will mash up like black beans and put that on top, and that's good as well. And then for lunch, some prep ahead ideas, a lunch bowl or a mason jar meal, which are essentially kind of the same thing, just different container. Mason jar meals, they can be kind of fun. So it's thinking about almost using that plate schematic from earlier and layering it instead. So starting with our complex carbs on the bottom, for example, I might choose like a half a cup of brown rice. And then moving on to our quarter of the plate was protein. So for my protein, maybe I choose a half a cup of black beans then and layering that on top. And then lastly, our half of the plate with our fruits and vegetables. So maybe I'm going to throw in a couple handfuls of greens and maybe some red peppers or cherry tomatoes. And then topping it off with our healthy fat source. So maybe like an olive oil vinaigrette type of thing. And then some give me 5 recipes for lunch. You could do a Santa Fe salad. So this is really easy. You just open up like a can of black beans, take a half a cup of that, a half a cup of corn, whether it be canned or frozen. Mix that into a bowl and then throw in a handful of like some type of greens of choice, whether it be like kale or spinach, and then essentially just topping it off with healthy fats. So an avocado and then maybe some pico de gallo or salsa. And then a tuna and avocado pita is another easy recipe. So you just need a whole wheat pita or whole wheat bread in general. You can rip open like a can or packet of tuna, mix in a tablespoon or 2 of spicy mustard or Dijon mustard, maybe salt and pepper, some turmeric or cumin. Just mix it all up, throw it in the sandwich, and then again, toppings of choice, whether it be tomatoes or avocado, maybe some sprouts, and you have a pretty solid meal in a very short time. And then dinner. So prep ahead, as I mentioned earlier, using the slow cooker. So I picked a white chicken chili recipe, and there's, like I mentioned, there's a ton of different recipes on your handout, but the white chicken chili is really easy. You just take the chicken breasts, throw it in the morning, and with the chicken broth, the dried beans, and then whatever type of vegetables you like in your chili, set it on low, come home, and everything is cooked through. You just shred up the chicken, and maybe add some cheese on top, or some Greek yogurt instead of sour cream, and you have a great little dinner. Or a give me 5, which I actually made this last night, and it was really good. It's super easy. You take like a whole wheat tortilla or corn tortilla, depending on your taste, and then about a 1/4 cup of hummus. Last night I actually used like a Mediterranean cauliflower bean dip that I bought. But you just spread it on, and when you're doing that, you can saute up some like onions and some spinach. Put it all in your tortilla, add some olives, maybe sun-dried tomato, some avocado, and you have a nice little easy quesadilla. And then lastly, for snacks. So prep ahead smoothies are a good go-to for a lot of people. They're really easy. You can do it in either one of two ways. So you can either say you want like a strawberry banana peanut butter smoothie. So you throw your banana in, your strawberry, your 1 or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, some milk, and ice. Blend it all up. Put it in a jar and put it in the fridge or the freezer, depending upon how long you want it to last. And it's all ready to go. Or some people will just like pre-cut the banana and strawberry, put them in a Ziploc baggie, throw that in the freezer so the ingredients are ready to go. And essentially you can just pull out those frozen chunks, throw it in the blender, and it's also ready to go in a pretty short amount of time. And then for Give Me 5, there are a ton of different things you could do for a snack, even the ones we just went over earlier, like the jerky and the cheese or the trail mix. But I chose cottage cheese and fruit, so just taking like a half cup of cottage cheese and then slicing up a peach or maybe some strawberries and topping it off with that. So before we get into our little game or challenge, any questions or comments or snack ideas so far? No? Okay. So for our little game or fridge frenzy challenge, basically what you're going to do is I'm going to give you a sheet of paper, and you can work in like groups of 2 or 3, or we can just even do like 2 teams, I guess, since there's not too many. But you're going to pretend like you have 15 minutes and you're in a kitchen. This is your fridge. So I know some of these things are not labeled, so you can get a little bit creative. But essentially you can see here like milk, hot sauce. You have some fish, and the fish can be whatever type you want. Cheese, again, it can be cheddar cheese, mozzarella. But you're basically going to use what you can see here, and you have 15 minutes to make a meal. You can also assume like pantry staple items, like salt, pepper, olive oil, cooking things. Like I mentioned, you have a stove, you have a microwave, you have all the things you need, but you only have 15 minutes. So we're going to see who can come up with the best recipe out of this. So you can either do like groups of 3 or like teams of 2, I don't know. I'll give you guys a few minutes just to kind of look over and see what you can come up with. You guys, do you have pens? Okay. There you go. I don't know if you guys just want to put the team back here.
Maybe the 4 of you work together, and then I guess I can join your team. I don't want to make it not get split.
Yeah, we don't want to be cheating. Or win just because you're on our team.
I know.
Who's gonna do it? Seems solid. Come on, dude. Is that what makes something that's chicken? I think this is a bowl with sauce.
Yeah, it's up for interpretation, so. If that's what you want it to be, it does look like a cake though, doesn't it?
I think it's a cake.
I like where your mindset though. Maybe there's a sound of it too, that's the mindset.
Yeah.
We have how much time to cook?
You have 15 minutes to cook.
Okay.
Cook a dish in 15
Yeah.
Cute thing, it's like, it makes it like,
I've seen it names. It's in these containers. There's some cooked
I don't
rice.
know, it looks
I
good.
think there's some brown rice.
Okay, so we'll have brown rice and fish.
Yeah. That's in one. Yeah, lemon.
No, we don't have one.
Oh, that's in one of those containers.
Can't get that creative.
Can? Looks like they're.
Well, we have, this is orange juice, we could use that on our fish, that would give it a little sugar right on it.
I think we've got those. I've got lemon tree outside. We just cut a couple. Anyway, okay, so what do we do? Fish? Right?
Orange glazed.
Ooh.
Look out there. It's like a blizzard.
That is too funny.
I know, I keep looking
The
over.
ads are getting subscribed.
True.
At least
It
it's
does
not,
not get sticky.
at least it's
No.
not really sticking,
Yeah.
making the road bad.
Yeah.
No, so
But
you
just
would be
creepy.
able to, if you just told
Also,
them.
veg and then
Hey, whatever, second. Who knew? Send us strawberry buds.
All right, we'll do like a couple more minutes. It'd be more fun if we had like real ingredients at the end of time. They could like their own little cook off.
Yeah. It was good like us sometimes.
That'd be fun. Oh, really?
I know they've done it there. Speaking in like USSC.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That's awesome.
Come in. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Almost like a master, not a master chef, but like a, what do you call it? Where you have to do it in the pantry, the one that's in the pantry, the chef chop.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, yeah. So it's
Are you guys good back there? Okay. You guys almost ready?
Sure.
Sure?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Who wants to go first? Okay. All right. You ready?
Alright,
Nice. Yeah.
here we go. So this is what we're having. We're having orange glazed fish, fruit salad, and a veggie medley with boiled eggs. Those are our recipe items.
You're good.
You want to know all the ingredients?
Sure.
Fish, orange juice, hot sauce, brown rice. Oh, and the orange glazed fish was on top of the watermelon, strawberries, pears, eggplant, carrots, and olive oil.
Nice. So I think you matched the plate pretty well. Got everything you needed, right?
I think so.
Nice job. How about you guys?
We did not do any fancy sauce.
No.
We did just an omelet with salsa and a fruit medley on the side. So we used red pepper, tomatoes, eggplant, eggs, cheese, salsa, and then watermelon, pears, and strawberries.
Nice.
See,
That's
it's
like my
breakfast
go-to in the
We did
morning.
dinner, like,
Yeah.
we get together.
There you go. Right? That's perfect. So now that we have done that, there is an app for that, because of course there's an app for everything, right? So let me see if this hyperlink works. I'll just show you. It's actually a really cool app. So you just download this on your phone, and basically what you do is it has categories for everything that's
It's not showing.
Oh, it's not.
okay.
I think we
Well-
can get a certain button. We could probably make it work if you want.
It's okay. I can just talk through it. Basically, it's a cool app though. So it'll have like category for dairy, meats, and then a drop down of like, so for dairy, or drop down like cheese, like milk, and all that good stuff. You just check what's in your fridge, and it will essentially come up with recipes for ingredients that you have on hand, which is really handy. And you can even choose like what meal category you want, so breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And there's even a quick recipe one. So it's really good for one, trying new recipes that you might not have, two, not wasting your food, and three, if you do need a quick recipe, it makes it for you. So there's this, and there's also other apps as well, which will be on your handout. I just like this one because it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy to use. Oh, no, I screwed up my clicker, right? It's okay, we're almost done.
You could just click on super and then hit the button.
Okay, so I'll just stay with it now. So yeah, just kind of wrapping up then in conclusion, keeping in mind when you're constructing a meal, having those three macronutrients, so the protein, the carbohydrate, and the fat, and trying to do them in the appropriate distribution. Purchasing those staple foods to make sure you always have healthy ingredients on hand so you can make something. Thinking about those healthy swaps that you can make throughout the day, And then lastly, planning ahead, which is really key when you're busy and in a hurry. Making sure you know what you're going to have healthy food that you can have. So with that, do we have any questions or comments? Anything? All right. Well, thanks, guys. There's a lot of trail mix stuff yet too. So. Oh, hand ups. Yeah. You got the trail mix one, right?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you buy into the eating based on your blood type? Have you read that book before?
I have not read it. I've heard, but I have.
Have you read it?
I haven't read it. I have heard about it.
Yeah, I've only heard.
I've heard.
I haven't heard
I
enough.
don't think that there is like science or research to back the validity on that.
Yeah.
It makes some sense logically, but I don't know if it's scientific. Like I said,
Right.
I've never seen,
I feel like it's probably
I've
one
never
that's
read the
really
book